President Akufo-Addo has vowed to legislate the eradication of political violence often perpetrated by party militias should the country's two main parties fail to agree on a plan to end the menace. The president, who was delivering his State of the Nation address in Parliament, asked the leadership of the governing New Patriotic Party to reach out to the opposition National Democratic Congress and set up a meeting next week to resolve the issue. The president's call comes shortly after the national chairman of the NDC, Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, made a similar appeal and follows on the heels of the campaign by the multimedia group to disband party militias now. He warned the peace and security of the country must not be taken for granted. The president also talked about the general security situation in the country and, for the first time, spoke about the Mensgold saga. There's more in this report.
Referring to the events of last Monday in Kumasi, where a meeting of the national and regional executives of the opposition NDC was broken up by acts of violence, leading to the tragic death of one person and two others injured, President Akufo-Addo said he will not permit such happenings under his watch. He called for a concerted effort to disband political party militias.
I want to use the platform of this message to make a sincere, passionate appeal to the leaders of the two main political parties in our country, MPP and NDC, to come together as soon as possible, preferably next week, to agree on appropriate measures to bring an end to this worrying and unacceptable phenomenon of vigilantism in our body politic. I've asked the leadership of the MPP to extend an invitation to the leadership of the NDC for such a meeting. The security services of the country will be on standby to assist this meeting. If voluntary disbandment by the parties is not feasible, then I will initiate legislation in the matter. Vigorous debate, and the exchange of ideas should be the true basis of political dialogue and competition in our country, not the activities of party vigilante groups.
On the general security situation, the president stopped short of mentioning key security concerns, including the missing Takoradi girls. He, however, touched on efforts to equip the military and police service.
The security services are at the forefront of keeping us and our nation safe. Let me pay homage to the men and women of the services for the sterling work that they do. The Ghana Armed Forces, in collaboration with the police and other security agencies, have been in operations Calm Life, Cowleg, Halt, Conquered Fist, Congon, Citadel, Ahojo, and Vanguard. I echo to you, men and women of the armed forces. Ghana is proud of you. We've been busy this past year supplying the police with equipment, cars, motorbikes, drones, and other vital policing equipment. Financial clearance has been given, and they are in the process of recruiting up to 4,000 men and women into the service. That is the first. Gradually, we're increasing the police numbers, and the service, too, is waking up to its responsibilities and offering more training to their officers. I look forward to a better trained, better equipped, and happier police service that has the respect and cooperation of the people.
President Akufo-Addo also broke his silence on the Mensgold saga, pledging to ensure that schemes created to swindle Ghanaians of their monies are nipped in the bud.
This is a tragic phenomenon that appears to have occurred in plain sight and affected a lot of people in spite of warnings from official institutions. As the authorities try to unravel the intricacies of what happened, I admonish all Ghanaians to learn the necessary lessons for the future. Even the state institutions work to bring a resolution to the matter, and those who are seen to have indulged in criminal activities are brought to justice.
Well, the president's call for an end to political violence has been well received by many. The former president, Jerry John Rawlings, has posted a tweet, and he says President Akufo-Addo's Sona 2019 was disarming. I hope the NDC Official NDC-GH and the MPP at MPP_GH will heed the call to join forces in combating the scourge of party militias and violent vigilantism. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has also indicated the opposition NDC's preparedness to engage the governing MPP on the president's call for the two leading parties to work together to bring an end to violent political party activism. He says though the move is welcoming, it is important that all parties can be assured that state security agencies will be fair, neutral and impartial should the militia be disbanded.
Did you appreciate the fact that you are listening to the president who himself is a lawyer? There are already definition of crimes under the criminal code and the criminal amendment code. What more? To shoot and kill, that's murder. To harm is provided for in legislation. What does he need legislation for? Just to disband vigilantism. We are saying that he should punish the output of their conduct and punish it because they feel politically motivated and they feel stronger because it's government of the rule or rule of the governed, not rule of law. So if you're saying that he's coming with legislation, as if to say there's no legislation on what they have done, what they have done is manifestly wrong within the legal framework of Ghana and within the laws of Ghana. And therefore, what he is to invoke is to invoke existing laws to punish them, whilst he seeks, admittedly and advisedly, to engage other political stakeholders. But you see, one of the fundamental factors we all should look for as a country, I've heard some respected ministers in his government talk about it, is a winner take away all principle. It's a source of this do and die, and we must get it at all costs. The second factor is lack of employment. I mean, what happened in Ayawaso is state-sponsored violence. The state itself sponsoring violence. That is a sacrilege. It should not happen in any civilized democracy. That is not to say that in the past there haven't been infractions individual to individual, MPP versus NDC, MPP versus MPP and others. You've had the murder of the New Patriotic Party chairman in Upper East Region. You've had the murder of JB Dankwa, all violent crime. So it's welcome. Now the president...
So that means the NDC as a party is welcoming
we
this
welcome,
and will fully participate to have a collective decision on the way forward.
We welcome it. I think what the assurance the political parties need is that we all can trust and put our faith, as we should, naturally, in the legally established security institutions. But when you have national security and the police force support a vigilante group to beat another political party, it becomes a disincentive. So we need an assurance that let us all rely on the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, as it should be. Their neutrality. Right. And we should not compromise them for our political purposes.
Now, at his third State of the Nation address in Parliament, President Akufo-Addo indicated a mega regulator in the financial services sector has been established to screen the activities of investment schemes that make fantastic and unsustainable returns to unsuspecting customers, adding that the operations of the Presidential Financial Stability Advisory Council will make it difficult for such schemes to take off in the future. Some customers of gold dealership firm Mensgold, whose investments are presently locked up in one of such schemes, protested outside Parliament as the President delivered his address, demanding he recovers their monies for them. They expressed disappointment in the President's comments on the issue because it failed to outline how they will get their monies.
It's not a kind of response we need from the President, especially this is the most far-reaching financial calamity to have befallen this country. And we will expect serious response, which would lead to resolution within a matter of few days.
And you didn't hear that?
We didn't get that from the President's speech, which is disappointing. It is very, very disappointing. And you tell us that you've issued an arrest warrant for Namwan. As of now, you tell us he's in Dubai. But how about the two other directors? Where are they?
We expected that at least he will give us something. He will expatiate on the matter, tell us exactly what the steps they've taken to resolve the issue. I mean, this is a government that is showing us, is trying to tell us that he cares. We want to see his caring in actions. He should tell us what SEC has done, what Yoko has done, what BOG has done, and then they should give us timelines. Maybe in the next 3 months, everybody is going to get his money. As we speak now, we do not know where NAM1 is. He should be able to tell us, as the president of the country, he should know where NAM1 is.
The presidents, Nana Akufo-Addo, sympathy, and the war and the Mauma. A lot of people are dying, and you don't care nothing about it. A man for your stroke, you don't care nothing about it. So because the cathedral, forget about the cathedral. I say forget about the cathedral. Can Oforiatta have to come out and say, I'm sorry? Can Oforiatta have to come out and say, I'm sorry? Police in the Wababano. Nesika that means good.
Right, staying with the President's State of the Nation address, we're joined on the phone now by Kojo Asante. He's the CDD Director of Advocacy and Public Engagement. Thank you. Policy Engagement at CDD. Thank you very much for making time to speak with us. Now, you've heard what the President has had to say about disbanding the militias, the political party militias. What do you make of his call?
Good evening to your viewers. No, I think the actions taken by the President is in the right direction. There are a few things that have to be done in the short term. Certainly the police has a team that is investigating, but I think everybody realizes that this is an opportunity for the parties to also show their leadership and take, the matter up to try and, demobilize these groups to disband them. So I think we should welcome that call. I don't think, though, that it is one or the other in the sense that it's not either the parties meet and disband or we legislate. I think the legislation would have to come in regardless, even if the party agrees to deal with this matter in the short term. Ultimately, it has to be against the law in a very explicit way for these kinds of mobilizations to be done. And there has to be ways in which people can easily be punished. But there are long-term issues as well that needs to be addressed, as we've found from the testimonies that have come out, that there are issues around the security sector setup and the practices.
Before we come to that, you're talking about the legislation and that regardless whether the political parties meet or not, the president should still go ahead and legislate. But we've just heard the minority speaker, a minority leader in parliament, who's saying that legislation is not needed because there is already legislation that takes care of these issues. He sees them as crime and that the police should act.
I agree. I mean, the currently under the criminal code, there's legislation that should take care of it. But I think in the broader sense of things, in terms of the way in which these groups mobilize, and we have to look at, examples elsewhere. We haven't got into that point. You haven't got into the Boko Harams or the Deltas and all of those kinds of things. But there is a very fine line between the rights of association and these kinds of groups and the kind of motives that are pursued and how people deal with these kinds of things. So you need to go back to the legislation to try and make as explicit as possible that makes it easy to prove a crime when these matters happen. So of course, if the person goes out and goes to assault somebody, you can arrest that person. But just having these kinds of groups around creates the conditions for these things to happen. If you understand what I mean. So we need to go back to look at the rules, see if there are gaps in there, even strengthen them. That's what I'm saying. Along the line, we still have to go to legislation anyway. So it's not an alternative to the current call for these groups to disband. I think ultimately that will be important for us to do. But certainly, the Commission's work, and we have called for the Commission's work to be extended, the time for it to be extended, because there is a lot of issues around, as I said, the security architecture and how it works in practice, so that the opportunities and the incentives that are within the security apparatus So particularly currently, if you even pass a law or you're even trying to use the law, if it is still makes it easier for a political actor who has power over the police to threaten that, I'll transfer you, or, I would sit on your promotion or whatever it is, those incentives still exist. So you might have a law, but the policeman might not act.
All right.
Because his interest is threatened. So we need to make it holistic, and that's why I would say that, it's all part of the process. We should welcome it, but there's more to do.
Now, let's look ahead to this meeting that the two parties are supposed to be having next week. Well, the New Patriotic Party has already communicated or indicated that they're willing to go ahead with this meeting. But what are the possible outcome of this meeting?
It's difficult to tell because, I mean, the parameters, and that's the other thing that we have to, take an interest in. It cannot be just an NPP and NDC meeting. It's important for the parties to meet. But this is a national affair. This is a matter that concerns everybody. And you want as much transparency in the process so that if somebody is being intransigent, we will know who to hold responsible. So I think if there's going to be some sort of inter-party arrangement, committee put together and all of those things, other people should come in.
All right.
Civil society should come in so that we ensure that the right kind of thing, conversation is had. And it's not something that's done behind closed doors, and nobody really gets to hold people accountable.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Kojo Asante. Dr. Kojo Asante is Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement at the Center for Democratic Development. Now, let's move on, still staying with the President's State of the Nation address. President Akufo-Addo, he has acknowledged there is a reputation for corruption in the oil industry. According to him, since the discovery of oil, there has been heightened anxiety among the people that the same trap of the oil money benefiting individual officials to the detriment of the state and the general public will recur. He therefore outlined measures put in place to ensure the oil money is protected.
On the fight against corruption in the oil industry and to aid transparency, we've established a national register of contracts on which all the petroleum agreements signed by the government have been published. This provides a platform for citizens to scrutinize the oil contract signed by government and accords with the international call for contract transparency. We've also signed the General Petroleum Regulations, which provide for the disclosure of beneficial ownership information of companies operating in Ghana's oil and gas industry. This will ensure that people do not hide in the shadows to appropriate oil blocks to themselves at the expense of the citizens of our country.
He also noted some international oil firms have expressed interest in signing exploration agreements with Ghana.
The interest of major oil companies in Ghana has become dramatic. Today, oil companies such as the American giant ExxonMobil and the Norwegian conglomerate Aker have signed petroleum exploration agreements with Ghana. Through the launch of the Ghana oil and gas licensing rounds of 2018, the bidding process for the allocation of new petroleum rights to prospective investors, the first such exercise in our history, other global players such as BP, China National Oil, Offshore Oil Corporation, and Total have expressed interest in coming to Ghana. Mr. Speaker, be it in the oil industry or manufacturing or retail, every day demonstrates the urgent need for our own businesses to develop and flourish. We have put in place the mechanisms to train young entrepreneurs and to help establish businesses with a stimulus package to expand their companies.
After a nearly 2-year ban on galamsey, which was lifted in December last year, President Akufo-Addo says the fight against illegal mining has not been won. Ghana's water bodies were heavily polluted with mercury and other poisonous chemicals, whilst their forest reserves were also severely depleted in the wake of the illegal mining menace across the country. Speaking at his third State of the Nation address Thursday morning, President Akufo-Addo said a lot more needs to be done, warning galamsey still remains illegal.
The ban on small-scale mining imposed by the president in April 2017 lasted closely 2 years. Illegal mining became topical in the run-up to the 2016 general elections, with promises by then-candidate Akufo-Addo to regularize activities of galamseyers. However, the president's first move was to announce a 6-month ban on small-scale mining to protect the environment. The ban, which was subsequently extended, was only lifted in December 2018 after a groundswell of complaints by small-scale miners.
We sacrificed a lot to bring the NPP into power. They would have to kill us if the ban is to be implemented.
In his address at this year's State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo says the ban was worth it, outlining some of the successes chalked.
Some of our water bodies have shown remarkable signs of rejuvenation. River Ankobra, for example, looks restored to life. Indeed, some fish have even been seen in the Ankobra for the first time in a long while.
He added that government will do more to protect water bodies, warning galamsey remains illegal.
The battle against galamsey is nowhere near being won yet, and I appeal to all citizens to be part of the battle to keep our lands and water bodies safe. As I have said on several occasions, this government cannot be against mining. It bears repeating that with the Almighty having blessed our land with so many precious minerals, mining inevitably will be part of our lives. That is why I had the pleasure of reopening the Mensgold of Boise mine on 22nd January 2019 in order to help Mensgold Ashanti secure the needed investment for this project. Government provided a number of fiscal incentives and guaranteed the stability of the.
Well, government has started feasibility studies for the construction of a dam at Pwalugu in the Upper East region to receive excess water spilled from the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso. The perennial flooding has in the past years caused constant loss of lives and properties. In the interim, the White Volta will be desilted to hold water spilled. The following report captures housing, infrastructure and job creation.
President Akufo-Addo in his address said the one district, one factory policy has taken off, and 79 factories under the scheme are at various stages of operation or construction. Another 35 are going through credit appraisal.
Under the Rural Enterprises Program, funded by the African Development Bank and the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, 50 small-scale processing factories will be established by the end of the year in 50 districts across the country, particularly in areas where there's evidence of significant post-harvest losses. These will be owned and managed by organized youth groups with technical support from the Ministry of Trade and Industry.
On housing, President Akufo-Addo noted the 2019 budget made provision for the construction of 200,000 housing units. He announced the drafting of plans to regenerate Nima, which holds the dubious title of being Accra's first slum, into a well-laid-out residential area with full amenities. He also revealed plans to construct a dam at Pwalugu as a receptacle of excess water spilled from the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso.
The salting of the White Volta will be undertaken this year, in conjunction with discussions with the Burkinabés to regulate the flow of the spillage and mitigate its impact. The Ministry of Works and Housing will in the coming week receive a report on a feasibility study conducted by the Chinese company Sinohydro for the construction of a dam at Pwalugu to serve as a receptacle to hold the volume of water spilled from the Bagri Dam for irrigation purposes and also for the generation of electricity. This will be the permanent solution to the Bagri Dam problem. The requisite approvals will be sought by the Ministry from Cabinet and Parliament to permit the beginning of the construction of the Pwalugu Dam.
On job creation, President Akufo-Addo said Maslock has been revamped and is getting back to do what it was set up to do.
Mensgold was given an amount of 35 million cedis in October 2008 to 18 for disbursement. This is the first time an amount of such magnitude has been given to the center outside of an election year. Of the 35 million Ghana cedis that were received, the center has disbursed 20,563,100 Ghana cedis, with 14,317,200 cedis to be disbursed for pending applications which have been approved. So far, 87% of the monies disbursed have gone to women, to 24,582 women.
Now, from September 2019, a new standards-based curriculum will be rolled out from kindergarten to class 6 in primary schools. According to President Akufo-Addo, this curriculum draws upon the best practices from all over the world and will focus on making Ghanaian children confident, innovative, creative thinking, digitally literate, well-rounded, patriotic citizens. The government intends to also introduce new legislation to redefine basic education to include senior high school. The following report captures health, education and sanitation in the State of the Nation address.
The government will put before Parliament this year a tertiary education policy bill that will bring all the public universities under a common law and make the administration of the public universities less cumbersome. New curriculum to be introduced will also focus on demystifying science and mathematics. To give backing to the free senior high school policy, government intends to introduce a new legislation to include SHS under basic education.
Poverty should not be an excuse for any Ghanaian child not to reach their full potential. It therefore warms my heart that we are now able to say that education in the public sector is free from kindergarten to senior high school, and that this year legislation will be passed to redefine basic education to include senior high school.
On health, soon in collaboration with the National Identification Authority, Ghanaians will be able to register, renew and access healthcare services using the Ghana card. Most importantly, aside the drone delivery services, government will by June secure ambulances to boost the system.
The health delivery system will be significantly strengthened by the expected arrival in June of 275 ambulances, i.e. one per constituency, to make treatment of emergency cases more effective.
President Akufo-Addo says there has been significant improvement in sanitation in the country. He, however, admits more can be done to consolidate the gains.
In 2019, apart from continue with educating and sensitizing people, we intend to use the bylaws to enforce cleanliness. The Ministry of Justice and the Ministry of Sanitation are working together to try sanitation offenses. People who litter would be tried and punished, and so would those who steal litter bins from our streets. We're launching a national sanitation brigade to help us carry this out. And through this vehicle, we'll not only keep our towns and cities clean, but we'll also provide jobs for our young people.
Government has prepared a plastics management policy with the overarching aim of meeting the challenges of comprehensive plastic management.
Now returning to our stories on the State of the Nation's address that was delivered by President Akufo-Addo earlier today. Now, for the first time, the major celebrations to mark Ghana's Independence Day celebration anniversary will take place in the northern region capital, Tamale. The President Nana Akufo-Addo disclosed this when he delivered his State of the Nation address in Parliament on Thursday. According to him, the move is to support the reconciliation process in Dagban. There is more in the following report.
The government, through a commission of chiefs led by the Asantehene Otumfuo Seitu II, and skinned a new Yana for the people of Dagbon last month. The move followed decades of chieftaincy clashes in that area that left many dead and others maimed. Delivering his third State of the Nation address, President Akufo-Addo noted his decision to move the celebration of a 62nd Independence Day anniversary to Tamale is a move to reinforce the reconciliation process.
In order to reinforce and support the process of reconciliation and the restoration of peace in Gabon, I have decided that this year, the official 62nd Independence Day celebration will be held in Tamale on 6 March. This will be the first time in our nation's history that the celebration is being held outside of our national capital of Accra, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
The president, however, pointed out he is not seeking credit for successfully seeing through the inauguration of a new Yana for the area, recognizing efforts of his predecessors.
I was not looking to be accorded any special title or accolade, and I was certainly not looking for praise. I did want to do whatever I could to make sure that this long-running sore that was such a blight on Gabon and Ghana, and which dragged down the development process in our country, could be resolved and we could move on.
Now, some traders at the Bosokai Spare Parts Hub in Accra say they are disappointed the president failed to touch on the free fall of the cedi against other major trading currencies, especially the dollar. Though many of the traders were generally happy with the president's delivery, some say they expect the government to do more to save their businesses. JoyNews' Justice Baidu watched the president's address with some spare parts dealers, and here is his report.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
As the president mounted the podium in Parliament, many who could stayed glued to their TV sets. So too did business owners in Bosokai, Ghana's biggest automobile spare part market. William also runs a family business here. He says he voted for President Akufo-Addo, and for people like him, expectations are high.
He thought about the exportation of foodstuffs from Ghana to the neighboring countries. Formerly, we were importing, but since we are now exporting, it means the agri sector is now booming. Concerning the dollar, I was thinking that you will have said something about it. Maybe that will be left with the finance minister to say something about it.
This is one of the places where the president enjoys huge support. But even here, opinions are sharply divided over his performance. The value of the cedi, which has slammed to record lows against the dollar in the last few weeks, means even the positive indicators, which he hails as some of his biggest achievements, are yet to trickle down.
This is a view shared by people like Ademu Panti, a mechanic who works here. Like him, many others could not watch the president's address, but think more needs to be done to put words into action.
Busy no metie so enye more no, but boshe na mo no omo boy say o meye no omo ye den omo fofu de omo promises se Ghana for service bi ye gina ya hwa nyansa ayede sikasama asem de ayede say duty the first no yet me fa my fa nyama ye ko yikas wo habo e ma me ye betonton cars no obi o abrochiri ayesa no emba bio.
Hail to thy name, O Ghana. To thee we make our solemn vow.
This is the president's third State of the Nation's address, and he has already exhausted more than half of his tenure. While he may be right in trumpeting his biggest achievements, many, even in his core constituency, still say they want to feel more action and less of talk. Justice Baidu, JoyNews, Abosokai.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for your attention. May God bless our nation.
And still on reactions to the State of the Nation address, raised in Accra's Central District are disappointed that the president did not touch on the cedi depreciation. JoyNews' Maxwell Agbagba has been interacting with some of them.
Not a lot of people here were actually paying attention to what he was, presenting to the nation. But when we speak to them, a lot of them talk about the economy. What has dominated the conversation here is the depreciating cedi. It's more or less the refrain here when it comes to the Central Business District.
As we speak now, all of us, you need more cedi to buy $1. As we speak, if one container let's say 2016, one container is costing like $100,000. You need 420,000 to get $100,000. As we speak, you need like 520,000 to get $100,000. You see, which means you need more cities.
So really, if we are talking about a depreciating city, this is a real impact, especially for you businessmen who do import. This is the real impact that it is having, you know, on you. Let me find out from you what your state of the nation also. Well, how is it affecting you? You talked about a depreciating city.
As soon as the dollar goes up, in other words, the cedi becomes valueless. That is a problem. You know, when businesses doesn't grow, the country goes down because you need the money to run the system. And here is the case. They are not trying to handle the dollar system very well. And how can the businessman import for them to also get money? When you go to the port, if we don't import, they don't get any money at all. So it's a problem. If we don't travel, how can the airline get money? And they also tax the airline to get some money to what? Improve the country? No.
Run up to the last elections, the Vice President, Mahmoud Bawumia, made a statement that when they are voted into power, they will arrest the city, put a city, you know, in the cells or maybe in a jail, and then lock it and then hand over the keys to the IGP. Are you so far impressed by how the NPP government, the President Akufo-Addo-led government, has handled the issue of the depreciating city?
For that, I can see that it is clear that it is political rhetorics. It is now clear because if we can measure him in that same manner, we can see that the city has exposed their economic fundamentals.
Well, one of the other things that people are disappointed about has to do with the fact that the three ladies who went missing in Takoradi have still not been found. And today, their families staged a demonstration in the Western Region capital. So lest we forget, it's been 189 days since the first girl went missing in Takoradi. The two others have been gone for 61 and 79 days. JoyNews has waged a campaign to help find the girls. Together with families of the girls, we demand swift and consistent action from the state security agencies. And so we urge you to continue with the hashtag #BringBackOurTardy Girls.